Okay, we're live. Aloha kako.
Aloha mai kako. Mahalo everyone for just joining us today in honoring our 4-year anniversary of our 2018 Kilauea eruption. Let's just start with asking for some guidance in our conversation and in our sharing today. So we'll start with a home white, and then I'll share a pule after that. Oh my, o na mea huna noia, o na mele, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, ka ike mai luna mai e. O na mea huna no e au, o na mele, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai, ka ike mai luna mai e. O na mea huna no e au, o na mele, e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai. And now we're going to ask for a brand new day. E ala ua, ua malama lama, ua hele kanaka aya I luna, ua kai au ka o ka ula ka ho o ka lei. Nau I hoa I kau pu aba uli pu aba kea moa kane, moa hine mahiki na kau lele kalani. O au kali oli oe he aka. O ke aka no ia mai ka hiki ku aka hiki moe mai ka hiki kapa kapa ua e ka ne. He ia maka puli ka pai oa. Kana he nai mako ia oe e ke akua. E ola no e. Mahalo. Mahalo for joining us. And so I'm just going to ask, just real simple, that when we're, if we're not speaking, if we just keep ourselves muted, and that, yeah, and we're going to share a documentary that was done by, anybody else want to share before we go into the sharing of the video before we start?
Maybe we can just introduce ourselves.
There we go. Mahalo. I'm Leila. Aloha. Aloha.
Aloha, I'm Leah Gawker.
Aloha Kule, Kielo Cooper.
Aloha, Keoni Kalave.
Aloha, Malia Kavaloa.
Aloha, this is Holy. How's it?
Aloha, this is Dan DuPont.
Aloha, this is Philip Ong.
Hello, everybody. So yes, we're all Puna residents, and we're here today to talk about, to honor this day, May 3rd, which was the beginning of the 2018 eruption. I think 4 years, it's been 4 years now. And we've been through a lot since then and many changes, but I think for the main idea is we're all still here. And that, you know, that time was, it was a time of massive change, not just in the landscape, but in our community and in the way of all of our learnings from that time. So yeah, so go ahead, Leila.
Yeah, so we wanted to really honor the anniversary of the eruption, and when, you know, it being 4 years now, and we just want to hold space with each other, because at this point, 4 years ago, we were freaking flipping out. You know, the ground had been shaking for a week. And so we all just had to move really fast. And so much happened, and so much has really not happened since then. So we won't go down that road. But anyhow, we just want to share and hold space today to honor that time. And Jane's going to share a video that they created, and then we're going to go around and just talk stories with everyone. Let them share muna ako. Mahalo.
Dane, I think we're having a tech issue. There's no audio coming through.
Can you hear it now?
Awole.
No, it's not on now.
Well, we tried. Yeah, I guess Zoom doesn't like rebroadcasting the audio.
Huh.
Interesting.
It should work. Sometimes it's app specific.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. It's okay. You know, I just want to say thank you to each and every one for being here today. You're all like, we all went through a lot 4 years ago, and it continued for a long time. And for myself personally, you know, I where I was living, which I'm not living there anymore, was my home. Like, I thought it was my forever home. And being pregnant at the time was even more difficult for me. And so I just want to say thank you to our community, because it was a really rough and hard time. And since the eruption's been over and done, it's still been a really rough road. And it's taken us in the community to really push and create conversation with our county and have trust in them to really honor us and what our needs are. And it's been a really rough process, and it's still going to take us a lot longer. But just people say that time heals, you know, but I still have issues. I still get triggers from the eruption, you know, just the clouds sometimes that trigger me. But I'm just thankful that we're all still here and that we are able to try and move forward. And, you know, a big passion of mine is to really help our community, like, find ways to move forward. And it's been rough, and we're still in super recovery mode, you know, so it's hard. Like, I've moved 6 times in the last 4 years since I had to leave my home. I'm like putting 2 other homes, like I said, in the first 2 weeks after having to evacuate out of my house. And I finally just finished building a house, my second home, after almost 2 years of building. And I'm thankful I have a home to be in now finally. But it's been a super rough road having a child in the middle of all that and raising another. And for my newborn, the one that I was pregnant with, to never have seen anything that I got to grow up with and his brother got to grow up with, But I hope to provide something one day that he can get into the ocean, because we're getting the ocean. And that's a huge thing for us Puna people, is the ocean. So yeah, that's me. That's my mana'o. I'm gonna pass it on to anybody else. Love you guys. And to Kule.
Tikune.
I really appreciate this opportunity for us to just gather and be with each other. It was such a shock to my system. First, the 6.9 that jolted us and rocked our world. And then, the immediate video, we have an eruption, Ikaika making his official announcement. And the faces I see here today, I really want to acknowledge Dane and Philip for the never-ending, tireless efforts. Every day, every hour, every minute that you committed fully to our community without pause and without any public emotion shown. Very professionally done. No matter the difficulties and challenges, you helped bring together our community in the greatest time of need. And we all followed suit. We all had our part in helping each other, making sure everybody was safe. And God bless Neil Azevedo and Bill Hansen at Civil Defense also, tireless efforts. And I truly believe that we have a great opportunity in front of us. Although it's been a long road and we're still going towards recovery, one thing it has shown is our strength and our commitment to each other. Not only our ohana, but our community as a whole, and now we are ohana. The historic eruption really has, in a lot of people's eyes, been such devastation. And because I have rose-colored glasses, I like to see it as opportunity for us to also huipa'a, gather together. We've been through something people never in 5 lifetimes will go through. And we're still here. And our keiki will be taught that we are strong, we are resilient, we stand together, we help each other with or without the government in line, and we hope to bring them in line to see our plight. But I really leave it there that the biggest thing for me is, as we lost our tutu's pot pond down in Pohoiki right next to the park, that was the biggest punch in my gut, And yet, I know it's still there. And one day, hopefully we can dig it up again. But we're still here. And we have each other. I think it's the biggest positive out of all this. The relationships that we've cultivated with people I've never met in my whole life are now very dear, not acquaintances, but friends, because we have been through this historic event. And our kupuna are smiling upon us, and all of you who have helped us to get where we are today, and everyone was safe. We will persevere and we will do it together. And I really mahalo you and Akua, and God bless you, all of you. And may Akua bless and keep watch over us as we move forward. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo nui.
Anybody else want to go next and share?
Uncle Keone.
Yeah, I go in next. All right. So for the Puna people, okay, long time people who live in Puna, we have deeply rooted. The eruptions is nothing new to us. Even during the time of the 1960 eruption in Kapoho, my kupuna, my grandfather, my parents, they lived through, the eruption, and they had to relocate. A lot of our natural resources in Kapoho, like the warm springs and other historical and older sites, also got destroyed. But as Puna people, we will always be, makaala to eruption, and we will, face the challenges, because even in the future, we will have, eruptions, and we have to, foresee, the new growth. What I'm coming from is that it's all positive. The new growth of Aina, and the continued practices of our people and the survival. Yeah, and so from my experience, during the eruption, 2018. Actually, I was in Kona, and so I decided to take 3 months off. I headed back to Puna. I went to home, Kanihiku village, and I went directly to the Y to help direct traffic with the county civil defense and other agencies. So I spent my first evening down there, and just seeing the faces of people, they're really distraught, because a lot of the people, this was the first time they ever experienced eruption. For us, Puna people, we have experienced several eruptions, during our time. Yeah, from the 60s, through the 80s, down Kalapana, all of that. So, for that is it's nothing new for us. Yeah, but it's just seeing the community actually coming together as one, and helping each other. And I actually spent 3 months at the hub, at right across Pahoa High School, and just helping, volunteering, and seeing like Ohana and friends that I haven't seen for years, and seeing them all working together as one. And that is really, really, for me, is like heartfelt, of community working together when we have, like the eruption that occurred. And we will continue to actually live in Puna. And like I always say, when get lava coming down, you can sidestep. You're not going to take them head on, because you're always going to lose. And we will continue to live in Puna and prosper. Aloha.
Mahalo ako. Ang uli ako.
Okay, go. So I'm originally from Waianae. Moved here 2006 with my family. Just bought the house down in Hawaiian Beaches 2017, 2018, eruption. But for the 10 years prior to the eruption, just like any other Puna family, Poiki was our swimming hole, like everybody else, the only swimming hole down this side. If I'm gonna be honest, if it wasn't for the eruption, that wouldn't have got me engaged with the people. I was if you guys don't know, I was outside salesperson for Haunted Lumber, and I really never liked that position. I was actually trying to get fired. I just didn't like sales. I didn't like it, and but yeah, prior to that, I just was I was literally trying to get fired. But when it happened, I saw an opportunity to utilize my position and create a positive, um, for the people, helping them out, whether it be using my truck and trailer to haul stuff, or whatever, just bringing things here, there, and just going out in the public, helping everybody out. Um, and within those months, man, it's got to meet a lot of cool people, opened my eyes up on the political scale, the government perspective. Like, where the hell were you? Nobody, you guys wasn't there. The people was there. The people would come together and make that happen. If it, I mean, yeah, that eruption made me engage with our people like 100 times over, and I'm glad we did. We created homes for it. We created small, tiny homes or special permits for it with the county, working with the county, planning departments. A couple projects got shut down, but we just kept going and going and going. And then the house I bought in 2017, I was able to house a family that lost their home. I moved everything out of that house and moved them into that house, and was okay. They loved it. They were staying in a shed, and yeah, it was all good. Win-win situation all around. And yeah, just I think even till today, I engage more with the people, Kupuna especially, and yeah, with the local schools, and yeah, just I'm glad to be part of this community, and yeah, so that's mine.
Anyone else want to share? We got a few more of you on here.
Yeah, can. Holly, can you mute real quick?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, so I wasn't on island when the eruption started. I had family issues on the mainland, sick grandfather, and we were over with him, and then the thing goes up. And I remember my mom was still on, she was here at the time, and she was on what was it, Mohala Street, where the first Fisher came up. And she calls me up and she's like, yeah, I'm here. It's really not that bad though. It's not that bad here right now. Little did she know like where we were going. But yeah, I remember that, wanting to be here, but not being able to for like the first few weeks. And it was like dumb over there. I ended up, my grandfather went downhill, and then I got the flu, so I couldn't even see him type of thing. He passed away, and I was still sick and was on a flight like at 4 a.m. the next morning back out here, like just because it was, so crazy. And yeah, get back out here. And really the thing like that to me was the how the hub came to be, and the Pu'unu'o Puna and that whole vibe that was there, because as soon as it started, like you could see it from afar easily. Everybody scattered. The people in Puna that I knew were just all over the different places. And the hub really gave people a place to come back to, a place where everybody could come back and get some food that they may not have been able to get the simple things that they might have forgotten. Like nobody's thinking about no toothbrush or deodorant or whatever when you're fleeing the house. So they just had all that stuff, even like little things like the batteries and all different sizes for, whatever flashlight that you had available, type of thing. So, that was, really big for the people that hadn't grew up with it. Like I grew up out here going around the volcano, playing with the lava as a kid, but not like that type of thing. And it took the guys that lived through it for decades, where they're out moving auntie's house at 3 a.m. type of thing to save everything from the lava. It's like it took those guys to really come through and like show the way of what to do. And obviously the county and the state, they weren't able to step up to the plate on that one. That makes you wonder about the next time, but still recovering from 2018 and this one. And you just wonder how well how some things that happened here would happen if it was Mauna Loa on the other side, if it would be treated the same way in some instances. But the crazy thing is the Puna disasters really well. The population, we went through 2018, no, confirmed, nobody died confirmed type of thing. Israel, same, like we go through these disasters where you expect it to hit on the mainland and see hundreds of people killed, and here it's just like, yeah, it came through and it was property damage, right? And it sucked. We lost a lot of places that we liked, but we know how to sidestep, as Uncle said. Yeah, I'll pass it to the next one with that.
Mahalo day.
I can go next if you guys can hear me. Yeah, I was kind of in a whole different world. My daughter's birthday is May 2nd. So my father had flown from abroad. He was visiting. We were up on the summit of Kilauea, looking at Halimau, looking at the lava lake, and I couldn't even get my one daughter to go because she's like, I'm tired of looking at it. It's like always there. It's like, it's boring, and a month later, she was like, I miss it. Where, like what's maybe more than a month later. It took a while later, yeah, I was like in my own little world up here at the summit of Kilauea. I wasn't having my property affected or threatened, all that. I was feeling the earthquakes a little bit, but I'm not too close. So I was feeling every little thing either. And I could see the thing coming just from the USGS alerts and reports. I still had a lot of faith at that point that if I could see it, so could everyone else. And they must be planning for what to do about it. So it took a couple of days of seeing nothing happening to realize, crap, we gotta, it's like Holly said, like we each have our own little piece of skill we can bring. And, I saw a chance where mine could be useful. And I came down and started talking to people right away. And it took us, I think it took until the end of May before I ever did anything on Facebook or that. I was always all in person every day from the beginning for the first at least 3 weeks or so. Yeah. So that was all just I would whisper to Ikaika, like, don't say this, or like, that's not true, or here's what's going to happen, because I was hoping to give him as much credibility as possible so that people would listen to him and have the biggest impact possible. Yeah. And then of course he got so busy that he basically shoved the camera in our faces and made us do it, which is fine. We're happy to help, but always very camera shy, but whatever, rest is history, I guess. And yeah, it's something where I wouldn't be here with any of you today, like literally not a single one of you, if that hadn't happened. So the connections, the friendships, the feeling of community, all of that is really the amazing thing that helps us keep it together. And even still now, right? And we're still kind of all holding hands, because we know whatever else comes, we'll be braced for it. So we're just kind of just trying to, as we're doing today, hold space, more often, but reconnect people to the land. I know that Uncle Kione is, like he said, it's nothing new. It's something that people who have been here for a long time are familiar with, but there's a lot of people who haven't been here a long time. And maybe they came here because they were looking for more of a connection with the land. That was the case for me. That's all I can say. And so it's hard to do that unless you start learning about the land and take the time and the space to, so that's kind of what it's turned into now, as I see this overall healing by trying to reconnect with the land. And sometimes it's a tough lesson there. Yeah. But that's how it's always been. Right. I mean, you guys can take it from there and tell me more about that, how it's always been. My view is, I wasn't born here. I came here as a scientist, and never expected anything like that to I suppose we had studied in college. We had studied the East Rift Zone of Kilauea and studied Leilani Estates as a case study, as an example of where not to build a place because of obvious volcanic risks. This is in North Carolina, and nowhere near here. So I had heard about it, and we knew it was going to happen sometime, but I didn't expect that there would be any role for me, or that it would be. I just had no idea. any of that, right? At no point in the USGS, like, did I think that I would need like psychological training or, more people skills, like, because the true impact wasn't going to be talking to a rock, but to the people. That was the real important use of that knowledge, right? So those are kind of some of the reflections there. And yeah, I think, at this point now we're trying to just keep the connection to land going. It's Kilauea is still active, still pumping. It's just a little bit different. It's something that we can learn to accept as much as it was in the past, right? Maybe it's a little more shocking in modern days because, development, right? We're just everything is different than it was in the old days. So the impact is different, right? The dominoes are different, all of that, right? Our whole who we trust to respond, right? Disasters across the country, people have expected to be rescued and have a government come and step in and take action for them, right? But how long were people stranded on our roofs in New Orleans after Katrina, right? So it took a long time. And so, we've seen this over and over and over again. So, once we saw the strength of community is what we didn't see necessarily, that wasn't as obvious to me, like through all the other stories of other places. So that's what really stands out and really makes me proud to have been a part of that part of it, especially is just to just be one little cog in a huge community effort, right? Of moving all this stuff, property and like food and water and people and pets and all the organization. It was like being inside of a living organism, right? And so like that's kind of a just being one piece of that, one one I don't know, part of that body, that large body. So I'll pass the baton.
Mahalo, Philip. Malia.
Hello, everybody. My name is Malia Kavaloa. I live down in Kikala, Kalapana. When this whole thing happened, we were home. No, actually, I was driving into Kupahua to my dad's house when the big earthquake happened. And then we from grandma's house when my dad's there, we can see up towards Pu'u'o'o, and we could see the action that was happening. Yeah, the whole plume and everything. And days to follow, it was I don't know. I can't even explain how it was. It was just wow. We never left. We stayed in Kikala the whole time. And I had to leave to go off island to do a training for 3-4 days, and my mind just no could focus because all I kept thinking about is my ohana, my community, what they're going through. And at this time we had to leave Kalapana, and this is when we had to drive all the way through Pohiki, Kapoho, Wawa, come up Hawaiian beaches, and then head to Hilo Airport. At that time, they never have no other access open for us at that time. So that was like, wow. And when I reflect back, I had a 3-year-old, I had a 14-year-old, and I had a 17-year-old. And I didn't realize how much this impacted the kids. When the earthquakes was all happening, everybody, when the red plume happened, everybody left Kalapana. Kahena was empty. So guess where me and my family was? Kahena, enjoying the beautiful black sand beach by ourselves. It was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful. So we stayed down there. We enjoyed the coastline. We enjoyed, it was empty when we was having get-togethers at Uncle Robert's. Everybody left. I mean, there was maybe about 30 of us there, potluck, get together. This was before we had the food coming down from the hub and stuff. We would all just potluck and get together, whoever stayed behind. It was awesome, but I also wanted to reflect back to the kids. I sat down with my kids. I also sat down with the class of 2019 because I did their grad night. And they're super resilient, our children. They are amazing. Because like said, Isel, we've been through hurricanes, we've been through the volcano that went to Pohoa town, and the school had to be split up into two, and some kids had to go Ke'au, some kids had to stay Pahoa, some, Keonipoka kids had to go Ke'au in the high school parking lot. All kinds of situation. Our kids are resilient. And that's why when they asked me if I could help with the grad night, for class of 2019, and I was sending out donation letters, and that was my main thing, is our kids are resilient. You know what I mean? They deserve this grad night. And if anybody wanted to kokua, please do so. And class of 2019 was their grad night was just amazing. Everything was literally like donation, not money, labor. From lifeguard was donation, DJ was donation. I even had a hypnotist come from Honolulu that cost like $2,000 donation. He came, with his crew and did a show for the kids. The food, the cow for feed the kids was donation. I mean, all the activity, it was awesome because I feel like they felt that these kids deserved it. And that was my manao. Is I just wanted to reflect on the children. Our community is awesome, and also our children is our community as well. And to bring them up in such an amazing community, knowing that we all take care of one another, and aloha kekahi, we all love one another, So that's what I wanted to share. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Malia.
Guess I can go. I guess when I think back and reflect on those days, I think something that stands out to me is seeing these things. Like as a hula dancer, you have this imagery in your head, and you learn your oli and you learn your hulas, and then to see it and to feel it, and like that pahu pahu, that noise and those earthquakes and the everything, to just be in front of, to witness it with my own eyes and to feel that energy, I think is something I'll always carry with me. Like Malia was talking, that red plume. And I have a lot of gratitude, like what Dane also was saying about that. We really, even though there were dangerous times and there were threats, that overall we were able to keep each other really safe. I'm very grateful for where we live and this type of disaster, so-called disaster, if that's what it is. But the red plume that came out of Pu'o'o, and it was like, here we go. There was like all these announcements and all these warnings, and we had time. Most people had time to try. And even though there was so much turmoil and chaos, and it was a real deep down inside kind of stress, animalistic kind of stress, that knowing like, okay, I had like real mama bear things with my children. Like my children did not leave me at any time. I was always with them. I knew where they were, and that kind of stuff. But to see how powerful this aina is, and to see the elements in that way, and to experience it, is humbling and empowering. But there was nothing like the strength of our community. And sometimes our community is slandered, it's put down. People speak negatively of us sometimes out here. And, you know, if you were there, you know how untrue all of that negativity is, because we have a solid community. And the ones that we can rely on ourselves. And it was the Kanaka Maoli that took care of everybody. And I think that that lesson, that reality check for many other people that had come here more recently, that were scared, that didn't ever experience anything like this, that was a really Makai thing for them to learn, to know who really knows what's going on, and to experience that. And you know, and I'm very, very grateful for the things that came out of it. The solidarity, like you're saying, Dane Tuya, or Phil, that like all of us just coming together, right? Like how many of us, even if we all grew up together and stuff, we've known each other, that like, it was like, okay, now we really got each other's back, and this is how we're gonna eat. And I get extra pillows. I was living in Poho town, so I was like watching a lot of people's kids so they could go and move things. I had like pets. I was watching people's pets, and, you know, just really all coming together. Everybody was trying to do everything they could to help everybody. You know, it wasn't for, I'd say like the vast majority, there was this really big effort to just kokua. Anything you could do to find your way and to do it. And for that, I'm always going to be so proud to be a part of all of this community. Really, I'm so grateful. And I know that if anything ever comes up, we'll be okay, because we take care of each other. You know, you'll never be alone. And we all have each other's back. That's my mahalo. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Leah. Did we lose Loa?
But I think I'm able to maybe try share that video. If you want to try, I can try.
Yeah, please try.
Okay. I think it'll be this one. You can see that? Is it?
3 years ago,
Can you hear it?
the historic eruption changed all of our lives forever. You know, talking about the Mo'olelo. And in these legends, we have many accounts that Pele is that land, that foundation. And as soon as the lava is cooled enough, then her sister, Hi'iaka Ikapolio Pele, who is the reforestation, the growth, the greenery, the life that is brought back into this foundation. And so until you see Hi'iaka growing, then you know that that is the opportune time to rebuild, to reconstruct.
Behind me is the lava field that had covered our entire subdivision. There are 5 of us with remaining property, partial property, in the farm lots. 3 of them have houses on it. Currently, we are able to access our properties, hiking out over the lava onto Lighthouse Road. We need 137 restored to gain full access. We all want access back, but it's They're still fighting to get access. The climate out here is phenomenal. We have we think some of the best climate because we have abundant sunshine, but yet we have plenty of rain to grow things. And we can recover above ground farming quite easily if that were to happen.
If we're going to recover, we need roads. The road to recovery begins with the road. When you can get access back and return to your place, you can rebuild, you can regain your livelihood. It's about safety, it's about evacuation routes, and it's about accessibility and quality of life. We do intend to go back, and I support my community. I love my community. I want to see them return. It's going to be good when we all get back and rebuild our lives.
Recovery is a process that takes a while, but it doesn't have to take forever. We live with active volcanoes, not just Kilauea. We have other active volcanoes. And so we need to be prepared and understand what resiliency really means. This island in the middle of the Pacific is prone to natural disasters. And recovery and resiliency does not translate into abandonment.
It was a tough experience, and I hope that for none of the HBO staff that ever went away as long as the eruption lasted, that we always kept in mind that this was an extremely damaging event for this region. Our heart goes out to those who lost everything. Hopefully, as we move into the future, we can learn to live with these things, because there's always going to be eruptions here on the island of Hawaii. It's just part of living with the volcanoes here. And through the work that HBO does, we hope that we can learn better to live with things like this, and hopefully be better prepared in the future.
It's Defiance Farms. The main reason is it just came to me one day while I was working out here, and how absolutely insane this might seem to other people, but it's defying what everyone might think is not possible. Going against all odds. And it's not easy, but I love it.
I believe in this place. It's, I mean, you can look around and you just need a little bit of dirt and everything just grows. This is our ice box. This is where we feed our families. For generations, our families have lived with Tutupele. We pick up and move when she comes. Sometimes things such as beaches are formed. But right now, this is the one space that we have to be able to access the ocean by boat. It's important for our sustenance and subsistence of our families. This particular ramp here was the third largest producing ramp in the state.
For a small little boat ramp, used to bring in more fish than Kilauea Basin in Oahu. That's how much fish used to come out of this area right here, keiki. Keiki is a very important part of my life. Bring my brothers back home where we can launch out of our own ramp. We don't have to travel to Hilo and then come all the way back around.
Keiki is very, very important to us. Right now, it's really hard being blocked. We need our ramp open, because if not, it's not going to last too long. Fishermen are not going to last too long.
All of our families along our Puna coastline have kupuna that have raised us to learn how to move forward in the face of adversity. And given the historic eruption, our families have come together to be a community driven to bring back, revitalize, and bring back our way of life and find great balance in how to move forward together.
All right.
Great job on that, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, mahalo.
Looks like we had 2 new people joining with us,
Yay.
Hey there.
Makani and Akaika.
So we'll invite you folks to share. Makani or Ikaika, if you guys would like to share. We've just gone around with everyone that's been in our conversation. Just your mana'o about when around the 4-year anniversary of Eruption. What was going on with you at that time? And yeah, so either way you want to start. All right, Ikaika, how's it, cousin? Yeah.
Makani, you can go first.
Oh, okay, Makani, you're on.
I was like, I what? No way. You go first. Not for real, bro. You go first.
So I just didn't jump on. I just got home and I got to head out of the door and head to Hilo. But it is a 4-year anniversary of one of the most petrifying and remarkable things ever happened in Lower Puna. I remember this day. Actually, I remember how it progressed to this day. Yeah, I remember progressing how it progressed to this day, and it was our family. We from Kalapana, born and raised down in that. Our family is pretty much rooted in Kalapana, Kapau. Hold on. Uh-oh. People calling me, but anyways, my family, the Kaipo family and Kaabaloas and Kononui family, all from Kalapana. We lived with lava pretty much all of our lives throughout the 1983 to 1991. So we created a business down in Kalapana with our family, employed our own family with how to respectfully take our Malahini to visit the lava. So while in 2017, 2018, we were doing tours also, but we was noticing, because it happened before in 2000, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, it was 2010 or 11 with the Kamomoa fissure that opened up just southwest or west of Pu'o'o. And it happened before. What happened was the lava lake in Pu'o'o filled up so much, but the lava wasn't draining out down in Kalapana. And it was receding. You'll see the lava flow every day receding up the mountain, but the crater was full to the top. So we were wondering what was going on. And it happened the same thing. What happened in 2011 or 10, should I say, happened in 2018, previously to this date of May 3rd. So we knew, working with lava, working with Phil, doing lava tours, for 10, 12 years, we know how it was, Hawaiian style, common sense. We know what's going to happen because it happened before. We always learn from what happened before. And so what happened was it was starting to fill. Pu'u'o was starting to fill up. But the lava down in Kalapana was starting to recede. So the further up we were going over Pulamapali, walking 4 to 6 miles one way to take people to see the lava. And every day we were walking further and further, but we knew that lava was filling up the crater, almost overfilling the crater. So we knew something was happening. And then all of a sudden, the crater, the intrusion at Pu'u'o started previous to this date. Then we knew something was going to happen. The lava was going to come out someplace else. And the first fissure 1, actually wasn't in Leilani, wasn't on Mohala. The fissure 1 was west of Pu'u'o. And I think Phil can correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, but I think fissure 1 was west of Pu'u'o. And what happened was lava spewed out for like less than an hour and then went right back down. It opened a crack, went right back down, and then we started to follow the earthquakes, and that's where it took us towards Leilani. And then we were in Leilani. Then we started to see 80 to 90 earthquakes a day. Then we started to see 100 to 150. Then we started to see 300. Then we started to see 600 to 700 earthquakes a day. Then we knew this is the place. This is ground zero. This is where it's going to happen. And then from that point on, previous to this day, we ended up creating our own mapping system of where all these cracks was. And I said, you know what? We got to come up with somebody that has the resources within Leilani to come up with a plan, because these cracks are forming. They're only forming in the certain areas of every street. Can we mark this and then we can find the fissure line? It was pretty much common sense. We created that on May 2nd. We knew it was going to happen on that fissure line, and it did. And there was I think five people, a handful of guys that was there at the first eruption in Leilani, and the first eruption was on Mohala, because that's where the significant cracks were progressing. I mean, within minutes, it was growing before our eyes. I would put my slipper or something to show that these cracks are moving. And Mohala and Kaukai was the one that was pretty much moving the slipper by the minute. And we knew something was going to happen there. So we had, and then May 3rd happened in the afternoon, and, we were right there on the spot to notify everyone. And we went to every house that was in the vicinity of 4 to 5 roads, Mauka, and even Makai, that one road on Makai, but tried to get everyone out. I remember people walking in Leilani with their dogs, didn't even know what was going on. They didn't know that something was happening. And I was like, hey, real calmly, there's an eruption on Mohala Street, go home, grab whatever you can and leave. Get out all your personal belongings. Unfortunately, there was a lot of people that didn't, because our sorry to say, the planning of our civil defense and our executive leaders at that time didn't take it serious. They didn't go through the proper precautions. They didn't know what was happening. I mean, somewhere in the line, the communication wasn't getting through. And at that point, we knew that we was a communication, and that's where we all came together for our community. And I think we will continue to do that for our community until we go on. And people ask me, like, how did you come up with that kind of, like, on the spot? I said, and I'm going to speak in my language. Hawaii. This is how we was raised. Kalapana was always like that. Kalapana always took care of everybody, not only the local people, but everybody. Everybody was family. And that upbringing of back then in Kalapana is how all of this. I don't care how much, technology we have now, but the root of aloha, of how our Kalapana family shared back then, continue on till today. And that will show on the 2018 eruption. And, technology was a source of how to get information to other people, but you need that aloha spirit for make it happen to drive it. So, and then from there is history. May 3rd was the beginning of. I still feel it in my gut. I still feel it in my heart, but it's something that we're gonna live with forever. It's in our memories, and I don't think I will ever forget about it. I just like to thank all the people that came together for each other. Not only Puna people, but everybody around the world. I mean, it was an effort of humanity, of like, there is good people in this world. And it's sad to see something at this magnitude, like an eruption that distraught people, make people realize that, people need help. Go help. And yeah, the rest is history. Okay, Makane, it's your turn.
Mahalo kay ka. Makani.
Yeah, mahalo. That was a good one. Cause yeah, I remember I was driving home one of those days that I was coming home from Volcano because I work at the national park. And had you, Andrew, had like Ikahi, Prince, all you guys was on Pohoiki Road before Leilani, already spray painting out the cracks in the road. And I was like, oh shit. Because same thing at work, my routine, it was always to go to the crater before work and practice oli hula. Same thing being in the space. And yeah, that baga was filling up, Pele was filling up, choke. And May 3rd or 2nd, I was actually at the crater too, because had Okita was actually flying in some USGS guys to do some stuff. But it was so cloudy with mist and stuff, so they couldn't fully go inside. But just being in that space, and I guess from the beginning, I'm actually from Oahu, if anybody knows. I did not grow up Kalapana, let alone when I did move here back in 2005. I found myself in Leilani Estates, and then in Kapoho, and then that kind of just sucked me in, at least into Puna. Never really left after that. So definitely the 2018 was like my first experience of a full-blown Pele dancing hula, like huge, where islands are born, like that kind of eruption. And I definitely mahalo that experience, to see you guys, the Kalapana Ohana, how you guys moved, how you guys took care of each other, the playing of music. Me, Avery, and the Ohana, we're going into Leilani almost every day to get the cousins, all the friends packed up. I live Pohoiki Road, and I'm still back. I moved back into Pohoiki Road. Mango trees, just right around the mango trees, and super lucky to be back in here. But same thing too, everything was happening, just uka of us, but we were in there every day to just help out. And wow, what a people you folks are. Definitely taking notes every day. But I remember talking to Planiada Ohana, if it wasn't Layla, Leslie, Lohe, all you guys that would just jam music, just game on every day, smoke in the face, shaking every day. And it was just like that is a people to, I would think about back in the days when, us Hawaiians, if we were coming from Keiki, from Tahiti, we're coming in to find Aina, like Hamakua, get water flowing down the mountain, like get vai, obvious water, or like Puna, you get water springs, not too much surface water, and get pele, get like full on flowing magma and lava. And it was, like it takes up people to claim that as their hale, like to claim that as your zone. Like, so, that takes a type of kahuna, that is your ike, like this genealogy line of people that to decide that you're gonna live at the base of the pele is unreal. And I learned so much. And just the coincidence of timing of, like I always say that I made the Kalapana Ohana like Hanaimi when I moved here. Like I made them Hanaimi. Never leave. But even now I have a baby, and I guess a lot of you guys know I'm now together with somebody from Kalapana. I have a baby, Kalapana baby, born in Kaimu. And I'm just so thankful. When I would go to work, the whole, my house might be gone. People are breaking into my house. We would hike into Puiki. I went on the boat, Kaika Mahalo, take us out on the boat. Avery was Kalohe, but that's how. And I just mahalo the whole process, because it shapes you as a person, as that being going through it for my first time, and I hope not for a little while more. But I human beings need to go through that kind of hulihia, this type of turning experience. Either it's a mudslides, hurricanes, sea level rising, that kind of experience puts everything in perspective. Like, what does life means? Aloha, taking care of everybody. Aloha ke kahi. Like, when humans don't go through stuff like that, then that's why they act all the time. Just no good. Just not pono. And because even my coworkers used to tell me that too every day going to work, of like, how do you do that? How do you like just show up to work and just continue on when your house could be? I would throw up in my mouth sometimes, like seeing my house almost getting overtaken, or or people breaking in, and all kinds of emotions. And I'm just so lucky again to just have you folks, the Kalapana people, that it's a Pele cycle, and the idea of it's the unknown, and you just gotta aloha that. All the dark, the doubt, you just gotta have faith that you're gonna be all right. It's all good. It's just one hale. It's just Aina. Like that Aina. And the type of 2018 eruption that's what births Aina. Like, that is what I chant about, I dance about. And how powerful is that we get to dance that and eat off of that and drink off of this, even now with it being so rainy. The landscape now back down here, down Puiki now, is so different, and how special to be a part of this type of change, like full on Aina change that, even when people talked about geothermal or might have caused like this kind of eruption or blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, this is an earthly animal, that something that massive, that's like planets, alignment, gravity, like that came from the core of the earth. Humans cannot do stuff like that. And that to me was like, takes you down to your knees. And I just, every day, I just mahalo to be a part of that process. And I think everybody, every human being on this earth needs to go through something similar. If it ain't one hurricane, tornadoes, what's happening with climate change. That's the kind of stuff that's gonna have is gonna shake you, put you back where you need to be. But yeah, mahalo.
Oh, mahalo, Makani. Oh, just mahalo everybody. You know, everything everyone shared today was just like, it so resonated with me. Like every one of your stories, and wow, it just still sits so deep inside of me still, that those images and the feelings and everything. And you know, wow. Oh, I just want to say thank you really for sharing this time and space with each other, because wow, it was, you know, like Ikaika said, like and I was feeling it. My house was 2 stories, and it doesn't have the 45s, and my house was shaking for a week before that thing started. Crazy. It was crazy. Makani knows, Leah knows like what my house is like. And we were dancing hula up until freaking, what do you call, like during the whole eruption. It was just amazing, and everything that was going on, and just the sense of like people like being right there to help with whoever needed help, you know, and the donations that came in for the community at the hub and everything. Like, you know, it's just amazing everything that really happened. And it really, you know, people do think of it as like a disaster in a sense, but it really is a creation. We wouldn't be where we're at if it wasn't for all of that creation to begin with. But it is hard because it takes our physical things that we have in life sometimes, but it is Aina, and how do you connect is like really is accepting that. Right. I mean, I grew up with these eruptions as well. I was 7 years old when it first started in 83, you know, and it was just like, yeah, but this was a whole nother eruption. Like it was nothing like I ever felt growing up. It was massive and nuts, hardcore. But I just appreciate you guys for holding this space today, and really just thank you from deep down inside, you know, all the work that continues to go on, all of you. Go ahead, Auntie.
I just want to mahalo you too and all of you myself. I'm, you know, the chicken skin moments have repeated itself this evening. And I want to just end with how proud I am to be part of our ohana and our community. In the face of adversity, we truly do know what we're made of. And we have found each other through this process. And you're not getting rid of me. You're stuck with me. I don't care what. We're going to go through whatever we got to go through as a kako. And I love you folks, and I appreciate you. And Akua, continue to bless us and keep us. Mahalo plenty.
Mahalo, Auntie. Anybody else want to share anything before we close out? Mahalo. Or
Uncle
Leah,
Tom.
yeah.
Hello.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Uncle.
Okay. You know, the only positive thing about the 2018 eruption is that we didn't have to move any halepule. In the Kalapana eruption, had to move, right, churches. In 1960, you know, Pu'ula Church was kind of like wasn't used for about a decade, and in late 60s, I believe it was 1969, the Ohana went into Pu'ula Church for the last time in Kauai, in Halepoa'a, before they cut the church in half and they took them up to Nana Valley. So right now, the church was moved 3 times. The original site was Kanihiku Village, then went down to Kauai, down Halepoa'a, and then now the church is in Nana Valley. So, you know, in the community, you know, we value certain stuff, yeah. And in the Hawaiian community, you know, they're majority are Christians, and they value the house of worship. So they will move the halepule. Yeah, they're going to sidestep. But when it comes to halepule, they're going to move them, right? Because it's a continued, you know, practice where they can go and worship, right? So it doesn't matter where they relocate the church, is that they can continue to actually worship. So that's my only experience about halepule. And, you know, in a time of eruption, they will move the halepule. That is all. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Uncle. Anybody else? All right, so shall we close out? I'm gonna share Pule Ololoihi. Like I can share the words if anybody wants to sing along with us and really, oh, you disabled me from screen sharing. No. Okay, never mind. No.
I was like, yeah, screen share. And then
Yeah.
Okay, your
and then,
co-host.
and then can sing.
Right, thanks, Alia. And just once again, mahalo nui to each and every one of you for those that were able to come in on Facebook Live today. If you didn't, you get to see it later as well too. And just, we holo mua kako. We're still got a long ways to go with this recovery process with our community. And so it takes all of us. And I just mahalo kia kua for the blessings and for opening the ways for all of us to be able to move forward in this process, because we still need help. We need lots of help. So we just ask for that. O ka uola ai ke akua, e nana mai ka umau pula pula, e ola kaniko, aha umaka iole, a palalau hala, a ka ui ka puane ane. Alaila la bea kuo e a ui ke a loa ke a e. Mahalo, everyone. All right, ahui ho kako.
Let's put this together. All right.
Aloha.
Mahalo.